And just like that, Netflix has me hooked for yet another year, waiting for yet another one of their Netflix originals to come out with another season. Hey y'all, if you can't tell by my Davy-inspired outfit, I got the hoops, I got the layered necklace, although I feel very insecure about the layered necklace. I don't know how Gen Z pulls this off. We're talking about season 3 of Never Have I Ever, which is a show that I'm so late to the bandwagon on. I won't even lie to you guys and pretend that I've been waiting for this series nearly as long as everyone else. I literally binged half of season 1 and all of season 2 this Tuesday, 4 days before it came out. So I'm definitely not one to talk about how long we have to wait now for another season, but I'm absolutely obsessed with this show and I just couldn't help myself from talking about it. Also, just gonna put a little brief spoiler warning here. I'm gonna try to avoid explicit spoilers here. However, that just comes with the territory, so you've been warned. Part of the reason I love this show so much is how much it makes me miss high school and that time in my life and that period of being a teenager, because I am sadly now out of college and in the adult world, and you know, those feelings of how crazy drama seemed in high school or liking boys, AP classes, how important that all felt to me at the time. The irony of it all is I don't think I could appreciate this show if I was in high school watching it. Just, it's a show that almost like looking back on feels better. And this season specifically, because of course the goal with any television season should be good character development, whether it's in a positive direction or a negative direction for the character. But this season I feel like the 3 main-ish characters, which I feel like in my opinion are Davy, Ben, and Paxton, just because we kind of get like the inner workings of all 3 of their minds, and they're obviously the main love triangle of the show. All 3 of them had really massive character development this season, and not just for the sake of like, oh, they changed and they're different by the end of the season, but in the sense that I had things going into the season that I wanted to have in. Daxton, big shipper right here. Love Paxton Hall Yoshida. Like, I love him. I'm obsessed with him. And there are things like that I thought going into the season my heart would be broken if anything happened to that. And the way that this show, through the character development, makes me trust and believe in whatever the next season is going to be, that's just incredible to me. Because when you have a show that's so good that people who, even though they feel passionately about a specific ship or a specific character or what should happen to them, they're willing to kind of go along for the ride, that's good writing right there. Another thing that was great about this season was the balance between the additional romance, which there was a lot of it, because of course we start the season with Paxton and Davy dating, and then a bunch of characters were hinted to get new love interests. With that increase of romance, they were able to increase the tight wovenness of Davy's relationships with Fabiola, with Evelyn, with Anissa, creating that core group of girls, which is something that I think in a lot of older teen shows of this type genre, it was either the focus was either on the high school relationship or the drama, but it wasn't really on like kind of this balance of all of that. And I really like that for the show. It's something I think is unique about the show and something that makes me really appreciate it, because I love that the core of it is like her relationship with these 2 girls and them just talking about boys. And now of course Anissa has been added to their group, and I don't know, I love that. And I think that balance was able to lead to the character development for Davy specifically that I was talking about before, but also Ben and Paxton, because I feel that the balance of those friendships builds the development in the romantic relationships, and then vice versa. Like when you're not leaning on one, you're leaning on the other. For example, I feel like Evelyn's relationship with Trent this season was such a good comedy point. Hilarious, absolutely hysterical, but how that balanced Davy's relationship with Paxton and or things that happened to them in their relationship, I felt like that is just so good, in the way that the girls could just lean on each other. I loved it. And I also loved that balancing act that was played with the friends are not just side characters and the love interests are not just objects. The way that this show and the writing is able to allow us to see the inner workings of Ben and Paxton's mind, and of course get the return of Andy Samberg's narration of Ben's life, which I absolutely live for. It made them so much more than just one-dimensional love interests, which obviously we've gotten that in the past. That's something that's unique about the show and not necessarily unique to season 3. It was intensified this season. The volume was cranked up on how much we were supposed to care for both Ben and Paxton as individuals, and some surprising developments in their relationship with one another, which was something that I did not see coming but was so wholesome and heartwarming that just made me so happy. I also really appreciated how this show is able to deal with things that you might think would be a bigger deal and kind of downplay them. Downplaying is the wrong word. I'm gonna retroact that. I love how this show is able to give the proper due to something like a breakup, but also relate how that pain is different from the pain of course, Davy still dealing with the loss of her father and how that impacts her relationship with her mother, and then how Kamala's resistance and not wanting to get married impacts her and her relationship with her family. I just like that this show is able to have those deep moments, and it really is such a true dramedy. Like, so many things get that title nowadays, but I feel like this show is one that truly deserves it, because as much as, you know, John McEnroe's narration is hilarious, or seeing the hijinks that Davy gets herself into really are entertaining and dramatic to watch, the real heart of the show is this relationship between a mother and a daughter. This one's a little bit of a light spoiler, but there's a point where Davy says to Paxton that he was something that helped her get through her father. And a lot of other shows might upplay that like, oh, Davy was so into this guy and it absolutely broke her heart, and that devastated her even more because she'd already lost her father. And I feel like this show just is able to like realistically look at it. If you're in it, that stuff all feels really serious. The heartbreak feels very real. You're going through that grief of that relationship. But if you're in your past high school and you're looking back at those feelings and you're thinking like, oh wow, like that still resonates deep, but also like, yeah, she's right, like it almost served this purpose to like get her through this time period. Oh, that just is, I don't know, this show has me crying at moments I don't expect to, and like with the turn of a dime, I think that's an expression, you just find yourself like tearing up. And you were laughing before, and then you go back to laughing because this show is just so clever. And I think that's all I have to say. If you are also a fan of Never Have I Ever, please go in the comments, let's chat about the show, because I think it's truly such a great show. Please be sure to like this review if you enjoyed my thoughts on Never Have I Ever, and hit subscribe because I review a lot of similar content to this on Netflix, Disney Plus, so you're not going to want to miss any of that content. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I so appreciate you. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day, and I will see you all in my very next video. Bye, y'all.